Ready,
for
baby.
this?
Ready.
All right. Fired up for it?
Dude, I've been excited, man. I told you.
Yeah. Get your phone, your cans on. Call them into business.
Cans?
Cans. Man.
Ears is what Rod Ryan calls them. Get your ears on.
All right. All right. We have clean cups of water.
Oh, this is water?
Yeah, people are going to recognize this from yesterday,
Okay.
but we cleaned them.
Okay.
least
It is. It's cold.
Mine, we cleaned. All right, Mabry Allen. My goodness.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's good. You ready for this?
I'm ready, baby.
You in the mood?
Oh, no doubt.
You ever done anything like this before?
Never.
All right, so here's the deal. We're going to talk, and we'll talk about you and teaching, and we're going to talk about family. We'll talk about the one that you made, the one that made you. We'll talk about teachers you've had in the past. We'll talk about your classes you teach now, how we met each other, all that. We're going to tie it up with a bow at the end.
Dude, that's going way back.
I know. All right, here we go. I'm going to kick it off. You ready?
Do it.
All right, Teaching a Rock Star podcast style. Here we go. Let's get this thing going. And we are rolling. There we go. Teach Like a Rock Star podcast. Mabry Allen is in the house today.
Whoa! Yeah, baby.
My goodness. All right, so we're going to have a good time. We'll talk about how I know Mabry, all the wonderful stuff he does in his classroom. We are going to get to the bottom of some things today. We're going to figure out all of it with Mabry. All right, before we get started, keep in mind we have Teaching a Rockstar events coming up in January. We'll be in Florida, Jacksonville, Fort Lauderdale, Tampa. We are coming for you. And then also in February, we're back in Texas, Houston, and San Antonio. Great events coming up. Hope to see you there. Mabry Allen, Thomas Mabry Allen.
That's right.
PALS sponsor, teen leadership teacher extraordinaire. How are you, brother?
Cross-country coach.
I'm forgetting the important stuff.
Coach Thomas Mabry Allen.
Yes. Yeah, there's your stipend right there. All right, so let me talk to you how I met. Let me talk how I met Mabry. And, this is fresh on my mind because I was in his classroom last week. Was it last week or 2 weeks?
2 Fridays ago.
2 Fridays ago. And so here's how it went down. So I was teaching, I was teaching at Cy Springs High School. And at the time, I was teaching a program called PALS. And that stands for Peer Assistance and Leadership. Yeah, I know. We've never really
little S.
We're not really sure what the S is for, but we put it on there, and also and teen leadership, and my PALS program. It was handed over to me by the wonderful Miss Brenda Gothay, and where is she? She at Cy
Lakes, man, college and career counselor.
She's awesome, dude.
Last year till retirement, dude. She's stoked. Just had grandbaby number 4, I believe. Big time.
Amazing educator. It was one of those teachers where you would walk by her classroom and just stop and think, good Lord, I'm terrible. I feel horrible about how I taught when I watch her. And then, but she worked the PALS program and then handed it over to me. And it grew, we had, the school grew, so the PALS program grew. And then, we created something there that I was really proud of. And what PALS is all about, it was, at the time, it was all seniors. Now you have juniors and seniors in your program.
Yes, sir. First year.
And it was, we would go to mentor children in our feeder campuses. So, the bell would ring for class. We would meet on the bus. We would head down to the feeder elementary or middle school. And each one of our pals would meet with what we call their palees, and they would mentor those children. And so we would give them one assignment. Really, the whole class comes down to one assignment every year, and that is, it is your job to change that kid's life. That's your one assignment. And our kids, these pals would just do phenomenal work with the children, and just amazing results that last forever. And of course, when you have a program like that, and these kids that were in the program, I love them so much, and but I knew. I got to a point where it's just time for me to move on. I was doing a lot of professional development stuff for teachers, and it was just time to go. and I knew it. But the challenge was I didn't know anybody in the school that could take this thing over, and so. I looked around. There's a couple of coaches I really believed in. We just saw one the other day, but those guys are busy, and I just couldn't find the right person. And one day, it was beginning of school, and I looked for 2 years, and it was the beginning of school, and we were there for a week of back to school staff development. And I was there for my one day that I would show up, the day right before school started was the day I would go. And because I was speaking on the other days, I couldn't make it. And we showed up in our group there to discuss and whatever the topic was, I don't remember. But we had like 300 teachers that year. They put us in a small group. It was me and 4 other guys. And one of the guys in that group was first year teacher Thomas Mabry Allen, decked out in his slacks and his dress shirt, his tie, looking good for his first day.
Professional, most professional I've ever looked.
Up until still to this day.
Oh yeah.
And of course, the rest of us are shorts and flip flops and whatever we found on the floor. And then of course we had some assignment we had to do in our professional development small group or some sort of a collaborative work. And I knew I wasn't going to do it, and no one else. And so we knew that this guy was all about. He had a tie on. Geez, he had a pen and paper and was ready to rock. And so he was working on it, and I got his attention. I said, "Hey brother, first year, aren't you?" He said, "Yeah, man, first year teacher. I'm ready to go." And I said, "So what are you teaching?" He goes, "English." I said, "English?" Yeah. He goes, "Yeah, English, 9th grade." I said, "9th grade? That's exciting, man." I said, well, I guess you're real fired up for English. And he goes, "Hell no." I said, "What do you mean, hell no?" And he says, "Well, I'm really, English really isn't my thing. I always want to be a teacher, but I just kind of fell into English." I said, well, then what's your thing?" And he says, "Well, when I was in high school, I was a senior, I was a pal." And I said, "Brother, you just met your best friend." And I knew I found my guy that was going to take this program over. And I told him, "Hey, listen, tomorrow, the first day of school, I will not be here. I'm going to call in sick because I had a school. I was going to speak at a school." I said, "What I need you to do is on your 2 conference periods and at lunch, head down to the pals room and hang out there." And he did. On the first day of school, he went down and covered the classes. And then I still remember I got a text. There was a lady who helped us, and it was our assistant in that class, and she assisted, in almost a co-teacher in a way. And her name was Jamie Cunningham, and she texted me that day, and it was about noon. And the text I got was, "You found your boy." And I knew we found the guy who was going to take this thing over. And I stuck around school for another year or two, and then he stepped right in where I stepped out, and has even taken the program to a new level, and he's awesome, and I'm glad he's here. You know how you have a few people in your life that really impact your teaching and who you are. Well, he's one of those guys for me where I have a handful of teachers I've been around, because when he came in, I was kind of at the end of my career, and he was just so new and fired up and just passionate about what he was doing. So brother, it is an honor. Man, that's a long introduction. I'm out of breath.
It was great, man. It was great. Keep it going.
It's an honor to have him on the show, man. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, dude. I'm glad to be here, man. I'll tell you what, thinking back on those years that I got to spend with you, dude, talk about invaluable time that I had with a mentor and a friend. I got to meet with you every morning for a whole year. The second year, the year that you left, my second year of teaching, we met every single morning. And on Monday, we'd plan out what we were going to do in teen leadership for the whole week. Yep. And then the Tuesday, we were talking specifically what we were going to do on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. And man, it's just an incredible foundation for something that I got to build on, dude. Invaluable.
Awesome. Those times were cool. Because we were some of the first people at school. It was dark outside, and you would step into the double wide. Oh yeah, where I taught. In my trailer out behind the school, and it was dark and cold in there, and and you'd show up every day with your notebook ready to go, man. We would talk.
I would have to take notes, man. You could just wing it. I needed index cards with bullet points of specific things that I was going to say at certain times, and I still kind of operate that way. Yeah. I'm a little better. Yeah, but not much.
Not me. I knew where we're going to start. I knew where we're going to finish. But how we got there, I don't know. Man. I was going to take the scenic route.
It was always amazing too to watch, dude. Especially as a new teacher, I think back on those days. So what are you going to do in PALS today? I don't know, man. I'm like, dude, it's about to start here in 3 minutes. What do you mean you don't know? I don't know, man. I'm just gonna kind of see what happens. Okay.
Yeah.
And then here you go, just talking to these kids, and you would tell these incredible stories, and motivate them and inspire them, and by the end, at the beginning you didn't know, and then by the end they're freaking crying and cheering, and it's just you didn't know what you're gonna do today.
I didn't know what their needs are. That's what I would mean. It's the thing is, I'm not sure. I knew kind of where I wanted to go, but how we got there, I didn't know. And so what we would do when we'd start our classes, and you still do it, everybody would get a chance to talk about what's great in their life,
news,
something good. Yeah, good news. And sometimes, and I know Chris Coble, didn't they call it like slappy or crappy every once in a while?
Yes.
Something like that, where it was either a high five news or something not so good. And
that's right.
Yeah, and so we start with good news, and from that, I would always, I could figure out a place to start from where those kids were in their lives from that news, and I would use that as kind of the springboard for getting us to where I wanted us to go. And yeah, you're right, man. I had a great time that year, and because maybe I was a mentor in your mind to you, but you were also a mentor to me, because that was invaluable for me because that helps you really clearly think about teaching when people would ask you questions. What are you going to do? Well, that's one question. Well, how are you going to do it? I don't know. I thought about that. Hold on there, brother. Let me think about that. So it was great, man. And so let's get to it, man. So you grew up where?
Gregory, Portland.
Yeah.
So Portland, Texas, really. Gregory, Portland is a high school right outside of Corpus Christi, about 20 minutes outside of Corpus Christi.
Mm-hmm. And isn't Miss Woods from Side Springs from that same town?
I think so.
How about
the
that?
Great Julianne Woods.
Yeah. Right. And so, and you grew up there, and that's population, what, about 10, 12,000?
Yeah, we're still rocking about 12, 14 right now.
Was it 3, 4A? Was it?
4A.
4A football?
4A high school, baby.
Okay. So in kind of a country town.
Yes, definitely agricultural based, cotton fields. My friends in FFA, or 4-H is what it was, and then they get to FFA in high school, but they did 4-H all throughout elementary. But definitely very agricultural, and then also really mixed populations, though, because there's a high Hispanic population. Gregory is mostly Hispanic. Portland mostly middle class, mostly white, but growing Hispanic population nowadays. And so there was your agricultural, and then there was your workers, blue collar.
Right. And so was in the school, and I guess especially like starting at the junior high, was there distinct populations that, in the lunchroom, was it really segregated? These kids sat here, those kids sat there, or was there a mix going on?
I hung out with mostly, guys that looked like me. There was a couple of Hispanics that we did hang out with. I would say if you're just to glance around the lunchroom, there's probably a little bit more mixture than straight segregation.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And so for you in junior high, let's just start there. What was your scene? Were you an athlete? Were you an academically guy? Were you a band guy? What were you?
In seventh grade, man, I actually played every sport they offered. Only kid in the whole school. I did tennis. I did football. I did basketball. I did track. And yeah, that was all of them, man.
Right. And so, and you're tall. Now, brother, what are you about? You're about
6'4".
6'4". Me too.
Yeah.
64 inches. And so, you are 6'4". Now, in the 7th grade, how tall were you?
I was probably Bowman height. What are you?
64 inches. What I'm telling you, 5'4", baby.
Okay. Yeah, I was probably right around there. 5 foot. I don't know.
That's crazy. Me too. I was about 5'4" in the 3rd grade. not much. I mean, I was stealing lunch money in the 3rd grade, brother. All right. So you're Mr. Athlete now. How were you doing academically?
I was always a B student.
Yeah.
Never very successful until later in college.
All right. So you're rocking the B thing.
Oh yeah.
And 8th grade, no problem.
Nope.
What was your situation at the house? Supportive parents?
Yeah. Parents were together. They had their arguments. It definitely wasn't, the perfect or what you would call the perfect family. Mm-hmm. My mom did kind of like the everything thing, where my dad would come home from work and he was going to eat and he was going to go to his recliner and he was going to watch his sitcoms, and like that was dad. And then mom was our coach. Mom was our homework helper. Like mom was everything. Mm-hmm. Big time mama's boy. Admit that in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Mama's cooking. I know. I remember. And then you have siblings.
2 brothers. I'm the oldest, so I got one that was 2 grades younger than me, Danny, and then Trey was 4 years younger than me. 4 grades, I guess.
All right, so here's where I want to get into a little bit. So, if I remember right, there's a little bit of a difference between what was happening with you all through school and then your brothers. Is that true? Or were they equally successful as you?
Well, when I left the house, things changed drastically. Whenever I graduated from high school and went off to college.
All right, we're going to get there.
Okay.
Hang in there. All right, so 8th grade, and you go to high. Let me ask you this. Up until 8th grade, K through 8, is there a teacher that you can think in those early grades that you can still remember, and like it's like almost as if you can step back into that classroom and still remember the impact, that interaction, that feeling that you had when you would walk in there?
The first 3 people I think about, 2 negatives, 1 positive.
Let's get to the negatives. We don't have to say any names, but what was the situation? Teacher A.
Okay, teacher A, I just remember her just being angry all the time, man.
Yeah.
She was older. I don't know if she was set to sales retirement or what, but gosh, she was just mad and yelling. You know, nothing was ever good enough. No one was ever quiet enough. It was math. I hated math too. But, and then the other one, dude, I remember we were doing, what were we doing, man? 2 things that I remember about her, and both of them had physical contact in them.
Is Teacher B?
This is Teacher B. Yeah, the second one. I guess we were doing like maybe a spelling bee or something. I was out of my seat, all right, but I was supposed to be like everybody was. Everybody was in different places, and she grabs me by the ear, dude, and pulls me back to my desk by my ear. And I remember feeling it pop, and it was burning hot for the rest of the day. It was, oh god. And then the second time,
hold on, can you imagine? Like now, like in your district, if you grabbed a kid and dragged him
by the ear,
there's no way, dude.
You'd be gone real quick.
They would arrest you.
Yeah, I'd probably be on the news. Someone would have videoed it.
Right, exactly.
YouTube.
Right. And so she grabs you by the ear, drags you back, and this is how many years ago?
I'm in like 3rd grade, dude. So I just sit on my desk and cry. She hurt my feelings.
Yeah, and you still remember it. You still talk about it.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I hadn't thought about it in a long time though.
But it's in there, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
In there forever. Every time you look in an ear, you cry. All right. All right. So so now give me the positive one.
All right, the positive one, I can go back to 2nd grade, man. First teacher that really impacted me. My 1st grade teacher was really awesome too, but I have a lot more memories from my 2nd grade teacher. And I guess it was, I'm trying to think of what it was. Almost said, I guess it was because, but I really can't put my finger on exactly why I remember her being so awesome, but she just always had a smile on her face. I remember her full name, Mrs. Vivian Flores.
Nice.
Miss Flores, man. And now I still have kids with the last name Flores, and I'm like automatically like, oh, Miss Flores.
All right.
Just from seeing her name. And so in 2nd grade, I never really figured out school, and it took me until I was about a junior in college, like my 2nd junior year, maybe my 1.5 junior year of college, to really figure out school. But I think she helped me a lot. I mean, she was very patient, and she would just work with us slowly and meet us where our needs were, and then get us to where we needed to be.
Yeah, patient. Nice. You still remember, you see her name, and it triggers all those emotions.
Oh yeah,
it's beautiful, isn't it?
Happy Fluffy.
Yeah, it's amazing, man.
Oh, it is incredible.
All right, and so you head into your high school years, and talk to me, Matt. What was the deal? What was going on?
Well, man, high school was awesome, man. So I don't know why I was thinking about this the other day, but I was trying to think of the best grades of my life, right? And it was 5th grade, 9th grade, and 12th grade. It wasn't, none of them had to really do with teachers. It was more just about, like, I was a really social scene guy, man. I had a group of friends, and we were always together. We had a group of girls that always hung out, so we would hang out together. We'd go to the movies, we'd go out to eat, we'd party together. And so my freshman year, one of my best friends' brother was a senior in high school, quarterback on the football team, and he was not ashamed to have a freshman as a brother, and he took us everywhere with him. And man, it was so much fun.
Yeah,
I mean, it was incredible.
Rock stars.
Yeah, as freshmen,
right,
hanging out with the big boys.
That's good. And so you're still doing your BC thing all the way through high school in terms of grades, B's. C's.
Oh yeah, yeah. Surprised with an A stay here every now and then. But yeah, I think my final average when I graduated was like 85.5.
Okay, so you're doing great. Yeah, I mean, well, compared to me, and so, is it this? Is it a thing where you're going to college? Like, is it something that's talked about in your family? This is what you do. You don't have a choice. You're going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
It's where are you going?
Right. Exactly.
Not if you're going. At one point, I even said I was thinking about taking a year off, and my dad just laughed.
Right.
Absolutely not. You know what happens when you take a year off? You don't go.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what happens.
All right, and so which is an interesting thing because we talked about it on the podcast yesterday with Yvonne Taylor of YvonneWrites.com, and what we were talking about how amazing it is for kids that don't have that support system in place at this point to even go to college. I mean, all that's required of them. I mean, just the application, that whole Common App, the online thing, and just to know the rules of getting into college. It's phenomenal if you don't have that support system at home that expects what you do. And I mean, like for you, it's even beyond an expectation. It's not if you're going, it's where. Mm-hmm. It's not when you're going. You're going now, and it's where. And so where did you go?
Well, I started off at Blinn Junior College in College Station, Texas.
All right, now how did you choose
Bryan,
that
Texas?
Because someone once said if you can't win, you go to Blinn. Is that true?
I guess so. I only applied to one college, and that was in June. After I graduated,
right?
That was me, man. I knew I was going to Blinn. We even took a college day to go up to A&M. I didn't have the grades to get in A&M, but it was because that best friend's brother was at A&M, and so he wanted to eventually get into A&M. So we both decided we were going to go to Blinn together.
All right. So how long did you last there?
October into September. It's highly unsuccessful.
You didn't even make it the semester.
No, no. I went home quick. Had a girlfriend at home, man, and we broke up, dude. And I thought, I was never gonna be with her again, and so I moved home so I could be closer in proximity. And we got back together. We're not married or anything, thank God. But anyways, that's a totally different story.
All right.
But yeah, that's what we did. It was fast and terrible.
All right. So what was the problem?
I just didn't know how to be a student. I mean, the problem with school was I didn't know how to be a student.
Yeah.
I started skipping class. I didn't know how to study. I was maybe getting a C in one class, and the rest of them I was either not going to or was definitely failing.
All right. So you chose to come home, or did your parents come get you?
No, I chose to go home.
All right. So you went home.
I asked if I could go home. My parents said yeah.
Okay, and so you go home and you go back and you're back in the bedroom at your house.
Yeah.
Eating mama's cooking, hoping she's going to clean your clothes. And what, do you have to get a job or what?
No, I knew I was going to get back into school that next semester. So actually, no, I did get a job. It would just happen by chance. On the way home, I was eating at a restaurant, and one of my favorite teacher ever, Mrs. Jerry Mangeris, by the way, incredible lady. I had her in my 11th grade year, second semester, and then my senior year in English. Definitely changed the path of my life. But anyways, so we go to this restaurant, and her husband happens to be there, and I remember meeting him, and so we started talking. I told him I was back home, and it's like, well, I knew he was an artist. He did sculptures, and he's like, well, I need somebody to work around the shop. I said, well, yeah, I'm free. So so he paid me minimum wage, and we went out to eat for lunch every day, and I had no money at the end of the week.
There you go.
Whenever I went back to school, I was done. Couldn't hang with that.
Okay, so before we move on, now tell me about this teacher.
Miss Mangeris?
Yeah.
Oh, man, best ever, dude. So I my junior year, I had to switch classes at semester, and I get placed in Mrs. Mangeris's class. And kind of going back to Miss Flores, where she meets you where you're at and then takes you where you are, she's the only teacher I've ever had that separated her classroom into where students were not where students were successful in, but where their academic level was. And so when I first got placed in her class, I was really focused on my schooling and on English, and I really liked her class. And so I was kind of like with the advanced group, and it was really cool for me. So like we were reading different books, and the other kids were reading. They were reading straight out of the the big English book that you get, and we had our own novels. And so she made separate assignments within her one class period.
Very cool.
What a teacher, man.
Yeah, right on.
So most people don't want to do that.
No. And then you had her a second time.
I had her my senior year as well. And
for senior English, or?
Yeah, senior English. Same thing. And I think she took English and put it into our lives. It wasn't that our lives had to fit what she was teaching. It was she took the books that we were reading and the stories that we read, and made it to where we could apply it to our lives, and think about it on our level. And it was a total game changer. That's the reason I got into English. That's why I wanted to teach English. I went in college as a history major, and I quickly changed because my thought process was, well, history is the same. It's not changing.
Right.
But when you read when you read a novel, when you read a story, you can take that and you can apply it in so many different ways. And you can really teach character, and you can teach life through English. You can do it through history as well, but I felt like English was the best platform for that.
I get it for English too, because I know even when I go back and reread a book, especially like a heavy book, comparing now where I'm at compared to 10 years ago in terms of who I am, the book has a whole different meaning.
Yeah.
So the meaning changes along with who you are as a person
And
too.
your experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I get it. All right, so that's awesome. And so let me ask: have you ever thanked her?
Yeah, dude. I actually just within this last 3 weeks, I scrolled down to the bottom of my emails, way down, and she was the very last one that I saved in my email box. And so yeah, I've emailed her since I've been a teacher, and I kind of updated her on my life. The last time I talked to her, I had just had Jackson, so that was about he's almost 5, so that was probably Christmas, around almost his first birthday. But yeah, just emailed her to let her know where I was and what I was doing, and to thank her. And I did that with a couple of professors too.
Nice.
Yeah, man, I'm all about the gratitude and letting people know that how they've impacted me and thanking them.
Yeah. And so did she reply?
Yeah. Yeah, we had it. I read the whole conversation from bottom to top on that email, and she was telling me how she had left Gregory Portland and went to Miller, and Miller was what I did my student base, what do they call it?
Student teaching.
No, the field base.
All right.
The one right before student teaching. And dude, Miller's a tough world. I mean, it's a totally different ball game there. 100% low socioeconomic, and it's just rough. And it was so bad. They missed AYP for so many years in a row that they had to make all the teachers reapply for their positions. They ended, and then so that was one time. Okay, then they ended up firing all their teachers and making them reapply for their position. So I guess the first time, it was like if you applied, you got your job back.
Right.
But this time they fired them all, and some of them didn't get their job back. And so when she came over from Gregory Portland, she was the oldest person in her department, which were probably in her mid 40s, and she was department chair first day on the job. And she got hired, and all right, well, you want to be department chair because you're the one with the most experience. So she was saying that most of the people she was teaching with were my age, and so I was about 25 then. And she was just saying how much she loves it. She feels like the mama there, and she's just really enjoying it. She's a special lady.
Just still teaching.
Oh yeah, like a rock star.
Yeah, indeed. All right, and so you go off and you've finished at what college?
Texas A&M Corpus Christi. So that's where I started after Blinn.
Okay, and
So
how many years?
started
How
and
many years
finished.
does this thing take?
Well, I mean, technically, since I took that semester, I didn't get any credits. 5.5 technically.
5.5. Technically.
6 full years from graduation.
For those of you keeping score at home, 6 years. All right, and you student taught where?
Well, I did my field base at Miller, and then I did my student teaching at Carroll High School.
How'd it go?
It was cool, man. At field base, right, I had these professors that we would meet with before school, and then, or not before school, in the first periods of the day, and then we'd go to our classrooms, right? And at both the places, the teacher I had was experienced, but just not necessarily motivated. And so the first one I went to, he was an AP, and he got fired from an AP position, and the only job he could find was this English 1 position at Miller High School. Just to give you a little background on him.
Yeah.
Don't remember his name at all. I just remember that he needed a lot of help. Right. And sometimes I was the help, not even experienced, right? And then the second place, she was real experienced, and she had huge potential, but she just, I don't know, caught the lazy bug. I mean, dude, she was lazy, man.
Huh.
She made me a key to her room because she couldn't get to school before the time I would get there.
Right.
I mean, but I'm kind of early.
Yeah.
But still, she got in trouble for making me that key. By the way, it broke off in the door the first time I used it.
And so you're stuck out there, and they want to know where's her key. I mean, you got the other key. How'd you get the key and all that? And all right,
You can't reproduce these keys.
all right. That's
So I had to go find another teacher that would get there as early as me, so I could go use her classroom because all the hallways were outside, and you know, weather's terrible in Corpus. It's always windy, and it's either super hot or freezing cold.
Right, right. All right. So and so it's hey man, it's time to look for a job, right? You graduate. And I remember you go to the typical job fair, and this is back when, man, you could pretty much write your own ticket.
Oh yeah, teaching positions were everywhere.
Yep, everywhere. And I remember seeing studies where in Texas at that time there were maybe 5 to 6,000 unfilled teaching positions where they just had long-term subs. Where they just not enough people.
That's a huge number.
Yeah, and dude, I don't know if you noticed, but times have changed.
Oh yeah.
And so you go to the job fair, and which one did you go to? San Antonio or Houston, Dallas? Or
well, the first job fair I remember going to was just A&M Corpus Christi. You know, they just had all the people come in from their administration buildings. I can't think of the term or what position that they hold.
Right.
But yeah, dude. So they had this big old job fair, man, and I have a dozen resumes, and I'm just kind of going around, and me and my wife, we were kind of set on Santa. Well, my girlfriend at the time, were we engaged? I don't know. Anyways,
how many times have you been engaged?
just one time.
Okay.
I just can't remember if we were engaged by that time or not.
Right.
Yeah, we were engaged because we were going to get married that summer. So me and my fiance,
Right.
we were going around. We were thinking we were going to be in San Antonio, right? My family's in Corpus, her family's in Houston. Boom, San Antonio in the middle. So we try real hard for San Antonio, man. They're all about Amber. They're not about Mabry. San Antonio, they didn't have that teacher shortage, I guess, dude. I was applying inner school.
Let me tell you something, brother. They had it.
They didn't like me.
No, yeah. I'm trying. It's a you problem.
Oh, okay. So forget all that stuff you said in the introduction about how amazing I am. And so then, dude, so San Antonio's frustrating, right? Because they're all about Amber, not about Mabry. And then I'm like, all right, well, I'm kind of scared of Houston because Corpus was a big city to me, and Corpus is like the size of Katy,
right?
And Corpus is small. It's smaller than Katy now. And so I'm like, all right, well, I guess we'll start applying to Houston, and within 2 weeks, man, Sci-Fair, offered both of us a job, and Amber ended up taking a job in Katy ISD, and then there I was in Sci-Fair ISD.
Sitting right next to me, brother.
Cy Springs High School, Gene Selasky.
Right there.
Signing me up.
Signed you onto the team. Varsity squad. I hear you. All right. And so we are in there, and we start teaching, and man, in that first year, you were it was freshman English, right?
English 1.
Yeah.
I was fortunate, man. I had English 1 on level and English 1K, which is kind of like pre-AP.
Right. And man, so you saw the vast Grand Canyon of difference between on level and K.
Oh yeah. Grand Canyon is a pretty good description.
It is huge.
Totally different worlds.
It is. And so how was it for you that first year?
Oh, tough, man.
You struggled, brother.
Oh, it was real bad. When we were doing our field base, they talked about, this curve, this teaching curve, that your first year teaching experience, right? And so you start off, at this high point, and then
it's called the honeymoon.
And then you kind of go down and you hit rock bottom, and that's about 9 weeks in.
That's called reality.
And then you start retooling and focusing, and you end about where you started, right?
That's called drinking.
Maybe end a little bit lower than what you started. And I remember them going over this, and I remember them going over like 3 or 4 times, and I'm just thinking, no, that's not me. I'm gonna kill this, man. And 9 weeks into it, dude, I was trying to figure out what else I could do with my degree and what master's programs I could get in to get me a different job.
Yeah.
Because, dude, I did not think that I could do it. It was like pounding your head into some cinder blocks. That's not going anywhere.
No, and here it is, man. Let me tell you why. There's a lot of reasons why, but here's my little Bowman philosophy on the thing. Teaching is, I can't think of another profession on the planet where they ask of you, the first day teacher, to be responsible for the same quality of instruction or the quality of a job, whatever it is,
production,
than a 30-year veteran.
Yeah.
So a 30-year awesome teacher like a Brenda Gothe or your
Jerry Mangeris.
So you're still on the first day. You're expected to be just as good and by the way, what we're talking about are the lives of kids. You know what I mean? This isn't we're not making something in the sheet metal shop. We're talking about the future and the lives of people, and it is, and you know what it is, man? It's the pressure of that. It's the pressure of being frustrated with yourself because you can see somebody great across the hall, and you can see quality teaching, and they're great, and you don't know what to do, and so here you are with these kids, and you just don't know what to do, and you struggled. Everybody struggled.
Yeah, man. And going back to it, I wasn't concerned about this tax test. Right. I mean, yes, I guess officially I had to be concerned about that tax test. But what I got into it was to help these kids improve their lives.
Yeah.
And here I am trying and trying and trying and nothing, just no production.
Yeah.
It was so frustrating because, I'm giving them second chances. I'm talking to them individually. I have to call parents. Oh, I hate calling parents. Have to call parents. And it's just the same thing, man. And, but you helped me through that time, big time.
I have no recollection of that, but you're welcome.
Well, the main conversation I remember was just more motivation because I had said, I don't know if I'm gonna be here next year, and so you pulled me aside. You're like, hey, look, man, and then you told me the whole thing about I'm trying to get out of this, and I think I found, and you're the man I want. Oh, well, I think I can hang on. I can hang on if I can get your gig eventually. But then the other big thing, and something I still teach pals and what you taught pals, was that, just because you are trying these things and saying these things and putting all this time and effort and energy into these kids doesn't mean they're going to change this school year. But you're planting those seeds, and those seeds are going to get watered, and those seeds are going to grow roots, and those seeds are going to sprout, and eventually they're going to change, and it's going to be because of the work you did then.
Right.
You might not see it now, but eventually it'll happen. And so that was a big time motivator for me. It just kind of kept me grounded and kept me focused on not right now, but the future.
Yeah, and the way I look at it, I mean, if you're first of all, you have to really identify the reason that you're there. If it really is for the future of those kids, and for this mindset to work, it has to be like, if that's truly it. The way I look at it, and I just thought of this because we were at a garage sale thing recently, and I saw this game, and this game is called Break the Camel's Back. And what it is, it's this plastic camel, right? And on the feet, it has the wheels on the feet. And, in between those two humps, what lies is this basket that hangs over on each side. And what you have to do is put these handfuls of straw into these baskets. And everybody gets a turn, right? And then there's this hinge in the middle of the camel, and it gets lower and lower and lower. And eventually, one of those pieces of straw, the camel goes down, right? I think about it like that. Like, I'm thinking that, like, I'm trying to think of these kids, I'm putting as much straw as I can in the basket. The truth is, maybe I'm going to have enough time and inspiration and content and to get it into their noggin and their heart where that kid is going to crack for the better. Maybe not. But all I know, it's going to be someday. It might be next year. It might be 3 years. That one little piece of thing that goes into the kid's basket is going to change that kid's life in that moment. But what I know, it wasn't that one little thing. You know what it was? It was me putting all that stuff into that basket. Because if I didn't spend a whole year doing that one little thing that somebody else said, it wouldn't have mattered. It would have just been one little thing for the basket. I'm loading this kid up with everything. And so, that's the way I look at it, with those challenging classes that we've all had, and you had a whole year of them.
2. And, I'm not forgetting that second one.
Dose, baby.
Uh-huh.
And then I remember one of the semesters, didn't I challenge you? I said, man, what if your kids had to make an A? Remember I said that?
Yeah.
What if they all had to? Like, you didn't have a choice. Like it wasn't a want to, it was a have to. What if they, like, your life depended on that they all made an A?
That was my second year teaching, and that's where the inspiration for the Difference Maker came, dude. Activity I still do in teen leadership, but I started it with my English kids. It was this English on-level class. Man. It was the only English on-level class I had, and so I told them that 6 weeks, man, everybody's getting an A. We're all doing it. We're all in the ship together. Everybody's on board, and we're all getting an A. We're gonna do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And I had one kid, one holdout. But dude, like a class of I was 27 probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One holdout, I'll take it.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah.
Every time. That's amazing.
It was phenomenal.
The Difference Maker.
The Difference Maker.
I love it. All right, and so I leave, and you move into the PALS position.
Mm-hmm.
And now you teach PALS. You're the PALS sponsor. and it's juniors and seniors, and you guys go to the feeder schools, and each one of your pals is a palee that they mentor. They spend, what do you guys get, about 40, 45 minutes?
It's a little bit less right now. It probably at some schools 30, 35.
30, 35 minutes once a week.
Travel time, and then they have to get back to class because instructional time in elementary school is no joke.
Yeah.
Dude, those principals are Nazis about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so they're seeing so your pals see the same palee each week. Just to be clear, they're given that one student in that one school that they go to on that one day. So they have a Tuesday pal, a Wednesday pal, and a Thursday palee.
Exactly.
Okay. And so tell us about that, man.
Oh, man. Well, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, that's the first thing that comes to mind. There's something about being in a room full of kids that are having quality conversations, that are smiling, that are laughing, that are playing games, that is so inspirational and heartwarming that it's even hard to put words to it. You know, I've told my appraiser, my last 4 appraisers, like, you have to come to a school with us one time. You have to come see it. Because it's 60 kids in one room, and they're all having a great time, and you can just feel the energy, man.
It's the love, baby.
It's incredible. And I guess for the travel there, I enjoy the travel there. I drive the bus now, and so to me it makes it a lot more fun.
I would never drive a bus.
We get to pump up the jams. It saves us a ton of money. A ton of money.
Oh, I remember my bill.
Listen, okay, let's talk about your bill.
I don't even know. Was it, I want to say I got a phone call, and apparently I didn't fill out the right paperwork to let them know it was coming, and so it wasn't in the budget. And Jan, the finance secretary,
Lovely lady.
I think I still owe her somewhere in the neighborhood of $10,000.
That is the highest bill.
For a semester, I believe.
Yes, for one semester.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to know how much our travel bill cost this semester? I just got the bill.
How much?
$734.40, baby.
Yeah.
Now, right when you left, we did some things to shrink that bill, right? Because right when Bowman left was right about the time that those first rounds of budget cuts came, and I mean it was mass chaos, man. Everybody was scared. And so we did some things then to shrink the budget then. So we took it from, it was probably about $7,000 a semester to about $3,000. And then when I started driving the bus, man, we're talking about it's 1/3 of the cost.
Yeah, dude, let me tell you something. I would have drove the bus. I couldn't reach the pedals. I couldn't see over the steering wheel, and I couldn't reach the pedals. All right, just to be clear.
They would have accommodated you. They would have had to. You could have had a big lawsuit for them.
All right, and so man, you still love it. I was just in your class, and I have to tell you, man, I was just I was ready this time. I wasn't ready. The first time I came to you, a couple years ago.
That was funny,
dude. I was just so it's because here's the thing, man. I'm going back to my class. It's my program.
Yeah.
And I show up
portable again.
Yeah, that's my room in my program. It's my class, and I show up, and I don't know who these people are, but it's your class, and it's your program, and they're your kids, and they love you. They don't even know me.
I remember you were in the Twilight Zone, man.
I was spaced out. I could not even figure out.
I could see flashbacks going on through your eyes.
Yeah,
I look at your eyes, and it's just like you're spinning, man. It was crazy.
It was crazy.
I tried to get past you to the floor, and you're like, "No, I'm just here just to watch." Bowman, watch. This guy, he talks forever.
Yeah. All right. So I struggled. I did, man. I was emotional.
The last period, man, I brought some great mojo the last period.
Did I?
Do you want me to remind you?
Yeah, I remember.
You can't read the label from inside the bottle.
Oh, that's heavy.
It was so heavy, man. It was so deep. It was the last period of the day, and he finally cut. Hey, I got something. He's like, you're talking about these kids, and you're talking about their problems, but check this. You can't read the label from inside the bottle. And it's silence, right? You can hear the silence, which I'm terrible at doing. I don't ever wait for the silence.
I love the silence.
You're great at it, man. Dude, I was thinking that whenever you were at that.
Just let them lay in it.
I can't. I'm terrible at it.
They're marinating in it.
It's good stuff. I need to put it in my mojo, but I don't have it. And so you say that, right? And then it's dead silent. The kids are like, can't read the message from inside the bottle. and so you explain it, right? Yeah, he's involved in this, he's living this, but he doesn't know what he is. He doesn't know that he has these problems. Yeah. And so I took it, I wrote it down, put it on my note card for the next week. I guess it was Monday. And so I'm like, all right, guys, Bowman finally talked yesterday, and this or Friday, and so this is what he said. What do you get from that? Nobody got it. Nobody was like, and so I would tell them, no, guys, they're in the problem. They are the problem. They can't see what their problems are because they're engrossed in them. Oh, that's so deep. I'm like, yeah, it is. I would have told you if I thought it was terrible.
Yeah.
I can't remember the things they were coming up with, but I was cracking up.
All right. And then, listen, man. So, but what I was gonna say is, but even in the moment, even I was a space cadet because I just couldn't figure out what had happened and what was going on. Man, it was just so good to see you with those kids, and you were, man, just powerful, and in the relationship you had with them, and that moment at the door, man, everybody's getting fist bumped and high fived and chest bumped, and the love, man, it was great, dude. And then coming in and just see those kids. You know what it is? It's that unspoken processy that's so ingrained in how the classes started. They know exactly. There's no rules on the wall. This is what we do in here. And as soon as they would cross the threshold of the door and join that family, which is what it was in there, man. It was this beautiful family, and they all sit down in the circle, and they come in and they're so happy to see each other and to see the relationships in that room, that those kids build, not just between you and them, but each other collectively, interpersonally. And then when you come in and close the door and everybody looks, it's silent, and they look up at you, and you begin class, and it was just I was just so proud of you and those kids and all that you were doing, and even now, man, I was there 2 Fridays ago, and it's such a beautiful thing.
It is, man. It's I can't even tell you how much I've changed since I've started teaching PALS. Those kids influence me and impact me and motivate me to be a better person every year, and it doesn't stop. I say this is year 5, which is pretty good. Still sounds kind of young, right, or kind of early in my teaching career.
I disagree, by the way.
7 years total.
Because let me tell you
something. 5th year as a PAL sponsor.
But this is your 5th year. I can tell you, there's a lot of 10-year teachers, but they're really first-year teacher 10 times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're doing the same thing. And so, but the difference is that you're a 5th-year teacher, a true 5th-year teacher. There's some teachers been around for 5 years, but they're really a 2nd-year teacher. You know what I mean? So as a 5th-year teacher, it's true, man. Those kids, because once you relinquish this whole thing of, I've got the big desk, you've got the small desk, shut up and sit, and it's this us thing. And man, this is our family, man. I just happen to be at the front, of the room. That's the only difference is, they change your life, man.
It's huge. It's huge, man. I have continued to progress, and I just can't believe how awesome these kids are at the age of 17 and 18. How they have their stuff together. It's incredible.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but do you ever get this moment, because you do interviews for the PALS thing. So I would sit there at these interviews and with these kids, and these kids would start talking and telling stories. And I don't know about you, I would sit there, and then I would have the same experience when on the first day, when they would all get all these amazing kids that made it into the program in one room. I would have this moment like on the first day. I would think, oh my gosh, they're going to figure me out. I need to get it together. I need to really get my life together. They're gonna know I'm faking this whole thing, man. Because they're just so smart and well adjusted, and they think deeply and critically,
and they have credible values and morals that they stick to, and there's no wavering that.
Yes,
it's amazing.
It really is. It's ridiculous.
I always ask their parents, like the ones that show up on open house, like
you mean the 4 of them?
Yeah,
right.
Guys, I'm a new parent. I'm a new dad, right? I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. What'd you do? What's your biggest piece of advice? Like, how'd you create these awesome kids? And I get varied answers, but that is one of the things that I'm really intrigued by is how do you produce that? Like, what can I do to make sure that my kids grow to be that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, the nature, the nurture thing. There's a lot of parenting, I think, but also, man, these kids were just born with a whole lot of good stuff in that double helix of the DNA. Man, there's a lot of goodies in there.
So true. I had another teacher come up to me at Hopper Middle School, and said, yeah, I'm trying to start this program, and I want them to be mentors and kind of ambassadors. I want to teach a bunch of character buildings. How do you teach your students? I'm like, they kind of come with it. I'm sorry, but like I try to weed through this big group of kids and dwindle it down to the best of the best, and they're already coming with all this great stuff. So I'm fortunate. I don't have to teach it to them. I teach them how to mentor kids, right, and I give them ideas and tips. But when it comes to teaching them character, they got it.
Yeah,
and it's ingrained.
That's the difference between me and you, man. I would have taken full credit for that
stuff. She wanted lessons, so I was like, sorry.
Right.
Here's some teen leadership stuff.
Yeah, and so and man, you're just doing such great work. And so let me ask you this, man. Are you what do you think? Are you a lifer?
I can't imagine being anywhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, if this whole Palace thing fell apart, I can't imagine going back to the English classroom.
Yeah.
And give me 12th grade, please.
Right.
Pretty please. Whatever I got to do to get there.
Yeah.
But I hope so. I love it. I mean, when I was in high school, I kind of thought you were going here earlier. When I was a senior, my plan was to be an assistant principal. Mm-hmm. What are you going to be when you grow up? I'm going to be a principal is what my ultimate goal was. But I was going to be an AP as quickly as possible. Mm-hmm. I was going to graduate, get my master's, and hopefully my goal was within 3 years of graduating with my master's and got an AP position.
That's the rule. Somewhere. You got to have a master's and 3 years of experience. You can rock the AP thing.
And dude, that's where I was going, man.
Yeah.
And dude, I remember like the first couple of weeks at Cy Springs, I'm in the classroom and I'm in the hallways, and I'm like, this hallway thing isn't for me. This classroom is where I'm meant to be. So I could maybe still see myself getting there eventually. Like what I say right now is when my kids go to college, maybe I'll do my master's thing.
Sure.
But for now, man, I'm loving it, and for the near future, I can't imagine being anywhere else.
Yeah. Awesome. And I'll tell you one of the coolest things I saw in your classroom. You know what it was? I looked on your little bulletin board there.
Oh yeah,
your mementos,
my little personal space.
And man, I haven't seen one of these ever, except for the day you have the first original lanyard from the very first ever Teach Like a Rock Star event.
It's autographed too, baby.
Autographed with a little stick figure on it. No,
yep. I don't have the certificate of authenticity. I'm working on that. But one of these days,
it's going on eBay, huh?
One of these days, I might be a rich man.
And so, I still remember that gig, man. That was the very first one. We just came up with this concept and did it right there in Sci-Fair at the Mausoleum. What's that place called?
Barry Center.
Yeah, the Barry Center.
The Matage de Barry.
Yeah, and it was a great day, man. We had teachers from all over Sci-Fair, and it was my first time to ever present the content in that style and in that format and that whole anecdotal thing where we wrap it up at the end. And man, I thought it went really well.
Oh, it was great, man. It was great. I think most of the teachers were pissed that we didn't get through the whole handout.
Yeah,
we didn't get through the spiral, man.
Right.
I'm still waiting to go through the second half of my spiral, bro, man.
Dude, we're here on the in February. We'll be here. What is it? I think it's the 25th.
All right. I'll come for the half day to get the second half of my spiral.
No, you got to get the whole thing.
No,
you got to get you a full meal deal.
Full dose.
Yes. And so man, what else? Anything else? Man, we covered a lot of stuff, brother.
Anything else from just that day?
No.
Or are we talking about just teaching in life?
Teaching in life in general.
Oh man, I think one of the things that was heavy on my mind thinking about this was If You Really Knew Me. That activity, man. I just read some this morning. And for my teen leadership kids, I didn't have a chance. We ran out of time, so they couldn't read them. So I still had them write them, and I read them. And it's just so heavy, man, hearing where these kids come from.
Yeah, discuss that.
Well, If You Really Knew Me, if you've seen the MTV show, is pretty much just like that. If you really knew me, you'd know that, ... right? It's something that we started doing way before the MTV show came out.
Yeah.
And so basically, I read them, my heaviest stuff, the stuff that I don't tell many people. That, and so I read them that, and I challenge them to tell me, their heaviest stuff. And if the way I kind of put it, if there was a camera just kind of floating around and following you your whole life, What would you hate to get out on YouTube? What would you hate for somebody to post on Facebook? And tell me about those times. And so they write it down, and then we present them, we read them, and it's just so heavy. And to kind of get back to where we talked about how it's impacted me as a person and helped me improve myself, is to see where these kids come from. You know, because they have these horrific experiences. I mean, I've heard everything you can imagine that you would never wish to happen to a child.
Yeah.
And I've heard them all. And here it is in flesh, right? It's not what I'm thinking what the worst thing could be. It's they're telling me they experienced this.
It's not something you can't connect with. It's on the news
or a movie that's is fictional. This is real deal life, and here it is sitting in my room, and they're crying and they're reading it, and then here they are, a fairly successful person.
Yeah.
And if that happened to me, I don't think I would be in their shoes. I probably wouldn't be in school.
Right.
You know, the thing that they do that is just so amazing to me is they use it as motivation. They use it as motivation to improve themselves. They use it as motivation so that their kids never even have the remote possibility that will ever happen to them. And they improve themselves. And instead, which a lot of society does, is use it as an excuse. And then another beautiful thing that comes from it is within this classroom of 20 to 30 kids, you have these deep dark secrets being shared, and there's always somebody else that has gone through the exact same thing or something very similar, or someone that they love dearly has experienced something that is in that somebody that in that room has gone through, and it's just there's no other activity I've done that bonds a group more closely together. There's no other activity I found that commands and demands such respect between peers. It's mind blowing, man, and I can't imagine not doing it.
It really is, and this is an activity you did this week.
I had my teen leadership kids do it this week. So in teen leadership, I wait till the last 6 weeks, right?
Yeah,
because it's a process to get them there.
Right. And so let me talk about that, because I think, when people first hear that, they think, oh my God, I can never get my kids to do that.
Oh yeah.
But wait a minute. So here we are in December, and this is, I don't want people to think that, this is something me or you or anybody's just kind of winging their way through. This is a strategic approach that we have designed and thought about since the day they walked in and did their introduction of each other in their speech. So and
you're digging a little bit deeper. Every speech you go to, you get a little bit more personal. But I did it in English. I did it in my English 1 classes.
That's
I did
the other
it
thing
every class I've ever taught.
Right. Here's the thing, man. I'm so glad you brought that up, because people think, well, I just don't have the time. It's like you can't afford not to do it. Is what I tell people, because once you get to that point and you build your family in that classroom, it's such a deep level where they're sharing this thing, and they've experienced. We've already built trust in the class. We've already built confidentiality. We've already built all the qualities that's needed for the foundation of this experience to happen. And once it happens, man, it automatically. Everybody, you could just feel this beautiful bonding and cohesiveness of this family now. And what's also beautiful, bro, is I know now that these kids, when they walk down the hall, and every pair of eyes they look into, they know that person's got a story. Everybody has a story.
Person you love the most and the person you dislike the most all have stories similar to somebody sitting in that room that you've grown to know and love within that semester.
Yeah, yeah. And in PALS, we call it campfire.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys call it that.
Well, yeah, we call it camp. I still call it If You Really Knew Me, but we do it campfire style.
Campfire style.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so heavy. It's just there's nothing like it. But in English, the way I did is I did it through journaling. So I kind of I went to this professional development, and I came back and I started implementing some stuff that I learned from it. And then for about 2 months, I would do some journaling that would kind of set us up to get me to where I felt like we could do If You Really Knew Me. And then we spent a whole week journaling If You Really Knew Me, and then we spent 2 full days reading them. That was it, man.
Yeah.
So I feel like you could do it in any classroom, but you have to build it. You can't just start tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't do it tomorrow.
No.
For sure.
And it takes, it's a strategic approach to, it's consistently every day building this process. You know where it's going to go.
But if you're involved with the class like PALS, I do, if you really knew me, week 3 of
Yeah,
PALS.
exactly.
It's accelerated process because you already have these kids. They're already bought into the program, and they are a lot more okay with opening themselves up because they know, they have the expectation.
Right.
So if you're involved with something like that, you can do it a lot more quickly. So if you know your classes, you know your feel for your classes.
So let me ask you a couple of questions, and I'll share mine as well. First, I'm gonna ask you what you think. And dude, you are a phenomenal teacher. Yet, what do you think that you could improve on? And I want to ask you the second question is, what do you think that you are great at?
Okay. Improve on. First thing came to mind was just easily organization. My desk is atrocious right now. It's awful, man. Tomorrow's a first period exam, and that's my off period. So that's what I'm going to do is just clean my freaking desk.
Right.
So being more organized and keeping up with dates and stuff. Like I know you're big on your calendar, whatever it is, whatever those things are. So I still don't have one of those.
I know.
I put some important dates in my phone if I really need it, but.
Didn't I give you one?
Yeah, I carried it in my back pocket for like a week, and
You
then
lost
I didn't put anything in it, so I just
all right.
yeah, you gave me one, but it's gone.
Okay.
So organization would probably be my number one, and then the second thing I would like to improve on is planning ahead a little bit better. I kind of just kind of go week by week. I've done a lot better job this year so far. My first couple years in PALS, I was also first time coaching, and talk about mad respect for teachers that coach or coaches that teach or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. It's tough. I was hanging on by a thread for 2 years, probably my first 2 years of coaching, and it got easier. But probably planning ahead. And then the thing I think that I'm the best at, kind of what I hear a lot from my students is motivating them, inspiring them. I'm real big on having one-on-one conversations. I'm pretty good at being able to tell where a kid is at emotionally for that day, and how I can approach them, and then putting the thought together for them so that they can get it, understand it, and eventually do what I'm asking them to do.
Yeah.
Or inspiring them to improve. And through teen leadership, I'm just so blessed with the classes that I teach with PALS and teen leadership, where I get to focus on character, and I get to focus on improvement, and I don't have to worry about this lingering test that's coming. I don't have to worry about getting through this unit. I can spend some extra time here and there when I need it, so that I can really pinpoint and pound in this idea and this quality that I'm trying to get them to get to.
Yeah. I think for me, since I said I was going to share mine, I think where I can improve the most is keeping in mind that these kids have other classes. Like I would get so focused on my thing.
Yeah.
And
a bunch of PAL sponsors do.
Yeah, I would get so locked in on our family, and this is our lifestyle, and this is who we are, and we're together. And these kids are like, but Bowman, I can't. I got a calculus. And you remember what I say? Calculus? You're taking calculus? Yeah. I said, do you have a calculator? Yeah. Well, then what do you need calculus for? What's the matter with you? Get out of that class.
We're trying to change lives over here, man. We're trying to feed some homeless.
Yes. Go sign up and be like a library assistant, drop the calculus and spend more time. And so, I was just like kind of this elitist, but I thought, what I was really great at is I think back and I was always pretty impressed with my ability to run the first couple of weeks of school. I had a little system in place on how I did things. I don't know if you remember, but, we would start out and I would spread kids really far apart. And the second they would get closer and closer. And the activities that we would do be kind of spread apart. And then within the next days, we're standing shoulder to shoulder. And then we get them holding hands after the next day. You know what I mean? So and just how, how we're going to bring this family together. And the content didn't matter. I do this in biology. I would do it when I was band director, PALS, teen leadership, advanced academic strategies, English, whatever. And, so I was really good, I felt, at those first 2 weeks of really scripting it out in such a way where I'm not going to have behavior problems. You know, I don't have that. Because you know what? Because I would tell teachers, you know, you can invest a lot of time up front, or you're going to pay dearly every day for the rest of the year, man. So
I still use your formula, man.
do you?
Well, with the PALEs, especially, I still go week by week. From that thing you wrote, you typed up. You actually typed it up. It's crazy.
No, I didn't type that up. Somebody else typed it up for me.
Well, you told them, and they scribed it for you.
I was just winging it. They just typed it.
You took it to the PALS meeting that we had with all our PAL sponsors. So I still use that, and I still use basically the same format for the first 6 weeks. I added If You Really Knew Me in there because I knew you would do it more campfire style, and I wanted every kid to write it. I wanted every kid to read it, and I wanted them to have a chance to write it so they could develop their thoughts and make sure that it was what they wanted to present. And with yours, it was more campfire style. So some kid might talk for 15 minutes, and some kid might talk for 15 seconds. And so that, but the formula is still very much the same.
Yeah,
it was, and you're right. It was great.
Yeah. All right, brother. I'm glad you came, man.
We have part 2.
Yeah, we're not done. I think we got a little bit more in there. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like I can keep going.
Yeah. But let's do this. Let's go have a burger and some beer. But you said you're not going to have a beer, and so I'm going to have 2. And we have a burger. I'll have 2 beers.
There we go. And I'll have a Coke. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to let you have 2 Cokes.
Woo!
Yeah. But brother, I want you to promise that you'll come back and spend some more time.
Yeah, I love it, man. Anytime.
All right. Thanks for being here, brother.
I appreciate you, Bowman.
I love you.
I love you.
Thanks. Thanks so much, everybody. We appreciate you tuning in to the Teach Like a Rock Star podcast. The talented, the awesome, the vivacious, the curvaceous Mabry Allen. Thanks, brother. Thanks so much for being here. Everybody else, we have shows coming up in Florida, Tampa, Fort Lauderdale, Jacksonville, Texas in February, Houston, San Antonio. We hope to see you there. Mabry, I want you to come to the Houston. Man, you haven't seen this thing in like 3-4 years.
No, I need to get back.
Houston.
I know it's been polished.
Yes.
I know it's
Dude, it's a whole different thing.
It can't be a whole different thing.
No, it's like I said, I know where I start, I know where I finish. How we get there, you just never know. It's a scenic route.
But yeah, I do. I want to be there. I'll put it on my calendar.
Well, yeah, I know you're not coming. You bring Mama, bring Amber, and have a day at it, man. Look, you have 90 minutes for lunch. It's exciting.
What? 90 minutes?
Yes.
Dude, I'm there.
All right, done. All right, so Mabry Allen will be in the front row at the Houston show. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Peace and love.